Hello.
Hello and welcome everybody back, not to the Rochester Parkour Gym. If you missed it, we've got construction going on in the gym, so we are sitting in our living room. Well, technically it's our dining room.
Yeah.
Where we've got the entire setup on our dining room table. And so today we've got a little bit of a different style of live stream workout. We've got recorded videos that we're going to be showing you. We're going to talk about all the different exercises, all the different mechanics, help you understand what you're looking for, what you need to do, and everything else. This is going to be a relatively shorter stream, but it's for a good cause because the gym's going to look so pretty.
So pretty. We're getting all the metal put up to cover the ugly spray foam above the windows.
It's going to be so good.
It was supposed to get done before we moved in.
This is correct. This is true.
It's getting done now.
It gets done when it gets done, and so it's just gonna be nice. And it'll be fun to walk back into the gym and see what it looks like when that day comes.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. With that said, some things that you're going to need for today's workout. We've got some stuff using chairs. You could get by with just one chair. We've got different exercises and different progressions that you can use with two chairs. Sliders or slider equivalents, if you've got hardwood floor.
Socks.
Yeah, socks.
Or a towel.
Yeah, socks or thick towel is good. Something that can create enough slipperiness that your feet can move would be great. If you've got carpeting, we've been...
Bare feet with a book.
Yeah, bare feet with like a glossy book can work really well. I don't know if we've come up with any other ideas.
I think those are good enough.
Yeah. So be creative, and that's what we're going to be doing for today.
Yep.
We're going to transition stuff.
So we're going to show you these things in the gym.
Ooh.
Let's see how he does it.
I'm gonna, yeah.
But we're going to throw the whole workout up today, right now. It's just a really simple circuit. We're not even going to do a warm-up because the first move is pretty fine to manage without a warm-up. And we're going to say the whole circuit we're going to go through 3, 4, or 5 times. But first up, seated toe dips. So we'll get to that explanation. We're gonna do those 10 times each. The sliding glute bridges we'll show. We're gonna do those 5 or 10 times. And then some avoidance for you parkour people out there, 5 times each side. Reverse snow angels, we'll show you what that means, 10 on each direction. And then last but not least, we're doing chair dips. Chair dips 5 or 10 depending on the intensity level and what you need. So we'll talk about that in more detail. But let's get started by showing first the seated toe dips.
I'm also adding this into chat, although it doesn't look like it formats that well. I do have it in the YouTube description, so if you want to go through there, it is written down there as we talk about all these different things. You can keep that up and yeah, help yourself out if you so choose. So with that said, let's talk about the first thing, which we're doing. We're doing toe dips to begin with. And let's see how that goes as I transition stuff around just a little bit. Oh goodness. Let's get that out of the way. There we go. Seated toe dips. So we're just, what the idea here, we're starting off simple with some core activation, doing some different random stuff. All you're doing is sitting in a chair. The type of chair that you're in might change the exercise just a little bit, where you're really trying to think about reaching those legs out as far as possible, pulling them up nice and high. As your legs go straighter, it changes the intensity just a little bit. And obviously, if you have access to small weights like Nicole has here, then that is a wonderful way of progressing it up and making it a little bit more challenging. If you do have access to 2 chairs, you can also change the intensity just a little bit by actually creating a scenario where you have no choice but to lift your legs up past that blockade. And so that can add a new element into it as well. By all means, you can play around with twisting through your core as well. Instead of like rotating your torso with it and staying in that straight plane, you can try to keep your torso as straight as possible as you reach your legs out to the side and dip on down. So by all means, you can play around with that as well. And then obviously, yeah, with the weight, have fun. Was that challenging?
It was actually.
Oh yeah.
It was difficult because of the back of the chair.
Yeah,
not
the
getting
chair
to extend as much. So
kind of.
Honestly, it was like, that made it easier because then I had to pull my knees more to my chest, but then it was weird to have to try and avoid it. So it was odd.
Absolutely. So playing around with that, what we're looking to do is change the activation through our core by lengthening and then crunching through. Play around with it, find something that feels good for you. And again, this is a simple strength circuit. We're not doing a ton of intense movements today, so we're just looking for that activation, and that's pretty much it.
Yep. Next up, sliding glute bridges. These are going to be either 5 or 10, depending on the intensity level. So because of every slider is different, it essentially creates different amounts of friction. So if you have a lot of friction, then you're going to do fewer reps because it's a little more challenging. And if it's super slidey and not a lot of friction, then we're going to probably need to do more. So what you're going to do is put a slider on each foot, on your heel. Make sure your heel's in the center, and your first option is just simply to pull your heel towards your hips and then press your hips up into a glute bridge, making sure to squeeze your butt, thinking about being a sad puppy, tucking your tailbone, and keeping that nice and stable. And then as you release out into straight legs, everything's releasing slowly. So your hips are dropping as your feet are releasing, and not letting your back arch crazy while this is happening. To make it more intense, you can pull with your heels towards your hips as your hips lift. That's either something that really works and can happen, or it really can't because of the level of intensity that is, and that's fine.
Right.
But you should be squeezing your glutes the whole time.
Absolutely. By all means, you can also change the intensity of this movement by playing around with the actual resistance of the sliding elements themselves. Mm-hmm. If you have the opportunity to either change the surface that it's on or change the element that you are using to slide around with. For those of you that have been to the gym and know that we've got different types of sliders, for whatever reason, the sliders that we got from Ace are just so bad. In a good way. The Ace ones are bad in a good way, in which to say that they are not super sliders, they're just sliders. And if you were to use them for their intended purpose, which is to move furniture, you might have a bad time.
Well, they work.
They work, just not superbly,
I guess,
like the super sliders.
They create more friction than you'd expect.
Exactly. And so it changes the intensity of the exercise. You have to work a lot harder in order to move them. That is one way that you can change the intensity. And maybe it's something where you have to change the progression that you're working with. You play around with it, you find something that feels good for you, and you go for the rep count that you're going for.
Yep.
Cool.
So again, 5 or 10 for those. And then next up, avoidance. So in the gym, we use avoidance. We can put our hands on the ground in this show and tell. We're not doing that. But what we're looking to do is create a transition in your center of gravity is what I'm trying to say, left and right. So we're going down into a squat hold, but we're shifting through sideways. So what we don't want to do is bring it around town and like really rotate through your core and through your hips. We want to go down into that squat, and as we reach side to side, it's like you're trying to reach so far with a straight leg, and then you're gonna get so low on that single leg squat before you transition to the midline and then reverse it. We got Joel. BRB.
He's gonna pour syrup on his towels to get more friction.
That
sounds delicious. And then you can wring it out afterward and get all the goodness out of it. Yeah.
And then you'll have ants. It's a joke.
Delicious. But some ideas that I'm just now having that I wish I had when this was all happening. We could have filmed it.
We were filming.
If you have access to our balance bars, reaching your leg out for the balance bar and then having to stabilize while transitioning your center of gravity over, that would be a fun way.
So you would set up the balance bars in parallel, and you would be balancing on a single leg. You'd be reaching point of contact, and then get that transition through as you single leg squat up, transferring over completely to the single bar. So it would add a balance element as well as get that hip activation.
Yeah. If you have access to weights as well, asymmetrically loading one side can also change depending on if you're reaching your left leg to the left of you. You might play around with having and holding that weight in your right arm, changing it up a little bit. Now you have to stabilize through your obliques and all your core and everything else as you stabilize to get yourself over that leg. That's cool. Again, you can be as creative as you want with all of these exercises to kind of target and make them what you're looking to get.
Woo.
So yeah, absolutely.
Next up, this one is fun. It looked weird to have it be a photo, so we didn't, but this is my favorite movement for this circuit. We're calling them reverse snow angels, and we're gonna do 10 each direction. So you're gonna do a lot. So your arms are gonna start overhead, and as you trace your invisible snow angel back, you're trying to think about the tops of your hand, reaching up the entire time. Don't let them fall, and you're going as far as your range of motion will allow. And then you go all the way up. The way you can make it more challenging is by lifting your legs and getting the full snow angel effect. So you're upside down making a snow angel in the sky.
Oh yeah.
For me, I like to have like a pillow under my hips because I don't like pushing my pubic bone into the ground that hard, but up to y'all. For the reaching of your heels, that's one way to make it more challenging, but even more so to make this targeting upper body, you can add some small weights and making sure, again, that you're always thinking about making that correction to lift, and that you're not letting the palm of your hand drop towards the ground.
Yeah, and these are not heavy weights at all. These are only like 2-pound weights.
Yeah.
You could easily get that. You could get even just adding in like a book. You could grab two books.
And we're talking like paperback books.
Yeah,
y'all.
These do not need to be anything crazy. The benefit of having a paperback book is that it would droop down, and you don't want that book to scrape along the floor. You got to lift those arms up.
Clever.
Help yourself out a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
If you can magically figure out how to weight your ankles, they could be weighted too, but I think that's a little complicated. Totally. So, up to you.
Especially with this one, don't lie to yourself. Be really careful with what you're doing. Make sure that you are moving consistently, and smoothly. Slow. And you're not trying to swim away. You're not trying to fly away. It's about activation through that upper back musculature as you move through the different various positions in the range of motion.
And I want to point out that Charlie's neck is really neutral, so you want to think of like a fist width between your chin and your collarbone. So you don't want to be yanking up on your head to like pretend to elevate more. And you also don't want to like shove your forehead into the ground. So everything is lifting. You're trying to lift your rib cage using that back musculature.
Yeah, it's just not comfortable to do it any other way. So
true.
By all means, find something that feels the least uncomfortable for you.
So next up after the reverse snow angel, so that's 10 each direction. Going down is 1, going up is 2, or you can count to 20, or going down and up is 1, whatever works for your brain. Next up, chair dips. Chair dips can be done, we'll show first here on the single chair option. We're going to do these either 5 or 10, depends on the amount of intensity that you're looking for and how difficult these are. So if you need to do a few more to get that like nice burn feeling going, that's fine. But we're trying to lower our hips all the way down without splaying our elbows out like chicken wings. So we want to keep them back and behind us as we dip down. I was talking too slow, so we'll move on to the 2-chair variety, and we'll talk back about the 1-chair variety. So Charlie is lengthening his legs out away from him to make it a little bit more challenging instead of in a bent knee position. And then even further, what he can do is he can lift and do, what would you call that, like a pike?
It's basically a pike. It's almost like it's going towards an L-sit. Just don't let your hips drop down towards your hips.
So it's like mana more.
Man is the opposite direction.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
What's the whatever? Cool. Lift your hips up and behind you.
Lift your hips up behind you. Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Okay, back to the single chair. So here you can make this more challenging by only doing a single leg. As long as you're not railing through that foot that's still on the ground, you want to make sure that you're trying to eliminate weight in your feet and not use the floor very much.
Be diligent. Be honest with yourself as to what you're doing. Do you really need your leg to get you all the way up? And especially as your arms get more and more straight, your ability to press through becomes significantly more enhanced. Use your leg less.
Yeah. And the way, when we say use your leg less, what we mean is notice whether or not you're driving that heel into the ground. The more you're pressing through that heel, the more it's aiding you, and you don't want that.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's a great exercise. And it also will change depending on the type of chair that you have and the height at which you're doing these on. Our chairs are relatively short, so you can change this up if you need something that's a little bit easier. If the chair itself is too low, you might be able to, use the side of your couch. That lifts it up just a little bit higher. You're able to use your legs just a little bit more. You're able to get a little bit more press out of those arms, and that can assist you as well in progressing it upward and helping yourself out a little bit.
And then keep in mind, if you are doing a single leg variety, that you should do the same on each side. So whether or not, so if doing 10 in a set is too many, then the next time through your circuit, switch the leg, and then that can help too.
Use your Legolas.
Did I say Legolas?
I don't know.
I said legless, without leg, without two legs.
Use your inner Legolas. Find your inner Legolas.
I'm still in D&D brain, apparently. My bad. Okay, so let's go back. Do we, let me know, Joel, if you have any questions about those individual mechanics or how it can work for your setup. I would definitely encourage you, Joel, to do the avoidance on the bar trainers and to get that added ankle stability and balance element to it. And then again, that can also be aided in having to hold a weight for you too. So whether or not we're all doing it on the ground without bar trainers, we can still hold weight and make ourselves feel heavier. Or put a backpack on.
Yeah. We're going to go back through. We're going to play the videos one more time just so that you have the ability to see them once more.
Yeah.
But otherwise, get out there, get to it. Mm-hmm. And as always, if you've come up with a clever variation or a clever thing that you want to share with everybody of how you set up one of these exercises or just where you set up the exercises or anything else, you can share it to the Discord. There's a link down in the description below.
So Joel says the reverse snow angels are weird, but everything else is good. Yeah, try them out now while we're here with you and let us know. The biggest thing to keep in mind is that you're trying to lift your rib cage off the ground and think about not railing back on your head, keeping that chin neutral, and then really think about a stamp on the backs of your hands that you're trying to get up to smear on the ceiling the whole way.
Yeah.
I think it helps to hold something even if it's so light, because it just gives you that clawed orientation to think about transfer. I don't know. I visualize it as moving magnets, and I'm moving magnets, and I like that.
Sure. Yeah. I think that works.
Yeah. So do I ever go back to the ground or just angel the whole time? Good question.
You're up the whole time.
You are activated.
Yeah, you are, especially on when those arms are out in front of you. Get them up as high as possible. Stay true to yourself. Make sure those elbows are nice and straight as well. You are activating. What I like to think about when my arms are out in front of me, I'm thinking about pulling my shoulder blades backward down my rib cage. As they travel out to the side, I'm thinking about crunching those shoulder blades into each other. And then as my arms go back, I'm just thinking about keeping them up the same level, even though I might be able to lift a little bit higher because we're now activating larger muscle groups. Again, it's not like we're doing that much with them. I'm holding 2-pound weights, so it's really not that big of a deal.
This is targeting all those little muscles.
All the teeny tiny muscles.
But correct, you're gonna do this until you feel like your arms are gonna fall off because you're doing 10 each direction, and then you get to relax. And if you're doing it with your legs as well, then they're up the entire time, so you can pick and choose.
Absolutely. They are great though. It's great upper back activation. It's really good. We do this a lot in mobility too, so this is just a way to kind of add them into a strength circuit and
help improve posture.
Yeah, especially from all the sitting that we've been doing recently and hunching over, and that's no good. This is a good way to combat the hunch.
Combat the hunch.
Get the hunch out of here.
Yep.
And yeah, be creative with the weight too. I mean, if you have access to 5-pound weights, 10-pound weights, by all means play around with it. But
that's a lot.
It is a lot. A little bit goes a really long way, especially when we're doing 10 of these. Mm-hmm. And it's not about going quick. You're trying to slowly and smoothly transition from one to the next.
This can be so out of the box because we don't need a whole lot of weight. Honestly, if you do stacks of silverware in each hand, things that are symmetrical.
Maybe not knives, though.
Well, butter knives would be fine. But, just holding stacks of silver in your hand would create enough weight for you. So if you're looking around your house, you're like, I don't have 2 of the same book, and this is weird, then that's fine. Plates, but be gentle. Be careful. Not fine china.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, the whole circuit, going through the seated toe dips, the glute bridges, the avoidance, the snow angels, and the chair dips, all of that you're gonna go through 3, 4, or 5 times, depending on what. If you're having to do a ton of volume, then, and you're feeling like you want it to be a volume day, and you're not really able to find ways to make it feel intense, like you're working really, really, really hard until towards the end of those excessive rep ranges, then you might as well just do this circuit 5 times. That's awesome.
Right.
And get that extra stamina in and endurance. But if it's feeling like you're able to manage some pretty heavy lifting, so to speak, then 3 times through, sweet.
Yep. That's all that we got today. Again, this is a weird circuit day because we are not
doing it.
The gym
right
is a
now.
Mess right now.
Yeah.
The gym is such a mess right now with construction. So we're making do with what we can. But yeah, we again, feel free to share us your workout spaces in the Discord. Otherwise, get to it.
Go do it. We're gonna go do it outside because it's warm.
Yes, it is. It is warm. It is nice. And yeah, we are excited. So take care. We'll see you on Tuesday. On Tuesday.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about that.
Yeah, actually, on Tuesday we are going to be doing another Talking Heads video. This is not going to be a workout. Or a parkour class. We're going to talk about other fun stuff. We're going to talk about the importance of play. We're going to talk about just some history behind it, some of the philosophy behind parkour, and we're going to have a fun little brain workout.
Interesting. However, I will also be we had a live stream a while back with for Strength Circuit, and it was a great circuit, and we just, for one reason or another, had the world fall apart with live streaming, and everything went wrong, and it cut halfway, and we had to pull it back on, and then it wouldn't work, and it was choppy, and then we gave up and put it only on Facebook. So I'm gonna edit that down to be nice and concise, and not 100% like what you're experiencing right now, because I don't want to be too disjointed. But I'm working on that, and so I'm gonna release that as sort of a video on demand, and just push out the link to that video on Discord and Facebook, yada yada. So I will provide a fresh, especially if you weren't in stream, although Joel you were, but a fresh workout as well, and then we'll do the chit chat.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right. With that said, get to it. 3, 4, 5 rounds. And we will see you all on Tuesday.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.